or competent, so she can say, oh, but I'm this color and I did it, instead of actually talking about how good of a job she's doing. Because if you have to discuss that part of her career or that part of her current life path, I think she'd be in a lot of trouble.
I want to show you video of Joe Biden's challenger for the Democratic primary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Six. Run it. Let's go. Up.
What do you think of him?
I think a strong body is a strong mind. I don't think there's anything wrong with a man exercising up until the age he dies. Why wouldn't he? I think that the bottom line of masculinity since the dawn of human time has been a propensity and a capability for violence. I think that's what makes a man a man. I don't see any possible negative connotation with being in good physical shape. I think that's a fantastic way to show discipline, which is very important, and any man who's important, especially a world leader. In fact, I love the idea of an elected world leader being in fantastic physical shape. I think it shows that they're a motivated, disciplined person, and I have a lot of respect for him for that. And I think that in the military, we make it mandatory, right, to be in fantastic physical condition.
Yes.
So why wouldn't we have it mandatory for people who are in charge of the entire world? I think it's fantastic.
The President of the United States seems to be failing physically. As you look back at the country whose passport you hold, at the president, what's your reaction?
Well, sometimes, and it's not very often, I consider myself ignorant, but I feel like there must be some magic I missed, because wasn't he the most voted for president in history?
Oh yeah, billions of votes.
Yeah, there must be some magic I just can't detect, Tucker. I don't want to.
More than Barack Obama, 81 million votes.
It's insane. And I mean, Barack, yeah, sure, he was very intelligent, articulate.
Yep.
He was concise and compendious with his ideas. He could make you understand how he thinks.
Yes.
But Joe must be better in some way. I can't seem to see how, and I guess the fault is with me. I don't know what to say about that one.
It's one of those lies that's so ridiculous that you're just like, okay. He got more votes than Barack Obama. Shut up, he did. Shut up. Excuse me. I want to get your take. This is sort of small ball, but it I think tells you something about a larger trend in the United States. This is a state senator from the state of Wisconsin in a public hearing recently saying, in a discussion on a crime bill, fuck the suburbs. Here she is.
Fuck the suburbs, because they don't know a goddamn thing about how life is in the city.
What is that? There's a hostility there. Where does that come from?
That comes from being a perpetual victim. That comes from being told that everything that's happening to her is not her fault and she has no self-accountability. Even though she's managed to become a senator, somehow she's still oppressed. And that means that everyone else who looks like her is also completely and utterly oppressed. And anybody who has a slightly better life in any way is, by extension, a bad person because they weren't oppressed.
Yes.
And that's where the hate comes from. The division is put there by these mindsets which are being purported by the people in charge of the world, convincing you that you have no control at all over your own life. And that's why she's so resentful towards people who have done well in life, not even as well as her. Right. I would also argue, perhaps I'm incorrect, that she probably lives in a suburb.
Of course she does.
So she's a hypocrite on top of that.
Yeah.
But hypocrites are, the fantastic thing about being a hypocrite is if you're a hypocrite with a little bit of power or influence, you're allowed to be a hypocrite because you're spreading information on the larger problem. In fact, this is actually interesting. One of my funnest things, I'm going to announce this here on your show for everyone to know, this is a world exclusive. I want to become a climate change activist. Because when I was younger, people would say, what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to be a fireman? Do you want to be Batman, et cetera? And I wasn't sure what would really make me happy. But now I'm ultra wealthy and I fly around on private jets all the time. I think that now is the time for me to become one of those hypocritical climate change activists.
100%.
It's going to be super fun.
Well, as your carbon footprint grows, your concern about carbon footprints grows.
Absolutely. Eat the bugs. Sell your car. How dare you eat meat? On my jet, of course, I have meat, but I'm allowed to be a hypocrite because I'm spreading awareness for the overall problem.
It's for the greater good.
It's for the greater good. I have to get to the climate change activist meetings. So,
which happen to be in Switzerland, I noticed.
Of course. So, although I'm flying on, well, before this arrest.
They're never in New Jersey.
Never. So before this arrest, I was on about 3 or 4 jets a week. But every single time I was flying on my private plane, I was extremely concerned about the carbon footprint.
Of course you were.
And so I am now a climate change activist. I just want to let the whole world know. Because once you get to a certain level of power of influence, you're absolutely not really allowed to be a complete hypocrite. So you're allowed to live in the suburb and then tell everyone, fuck the suburbs, and pretend that you're oppressed when you're a senator of the most powerful nation on the planet. Because it's a logic fail on every level.
So one of the human activities has got to produce the greatest carbon footprint is, I would think, war, right?
I would think so.
Diesel-powered machines, munitions going off. So I was a little bit surprised to see Greta Thunberg with Zelensky this morning.
What's interesting to me is this. Firstly, I would never kill myself. Secondly, imagine these people are so detached from reality. Imagine going, you know what we need to do? Brainwave. We need to drum up support for this garbage. Let's take the most loved woman, Greta, and the most loved man, Zelensky, and let's make them meet. Think about the PR. Let's bring a camera. And imagine people sitting around a table going, that's going to really make people support this. Who gives a fuck? I don't want to swear. I'm sorry, but some young girl turns up to a war zone who has nothing. Why is she there? What are they going to talk about?
I don't know.
But what's their conversation?
I think she only yells. I don't think she does talk.
I don't understand. Is she going to talk about how the childhood has been stolen from all those million Ukrainian men who've been blown to pieces? Like she talks about childhood being stolen because we drive, cars? I don't think she is. I don't think she's going to mention that. No. Is it just a big PR opportunity? Like what PR team came up with this concoction and thought, this'll keep them on side? It's mind-bending to me who even thought this was a good idea. It's crazy.
But of course somebody did.
Somebody thought it was a fantastic idea.
Have you ever met Greta Thunberg?
No, but me and her have had some internet arguments.
I think you went to prison for it, right?
Yeah, correct. Which is amazing because I'm a climate change activist. So I'm on her team. I was in Sweden during COVID. So we could have met. She didn't want to hang out with me, unfortunately. And then now I'm flying around in my jet everywhere, spreading news about climate change. Same thing. Like in my Bugatti, obviously it's got a big engine. I make sure to talk about climate change out the window as I drive. Well, I'm on her side. She doesn't seem to be very interested.
You yell at the serfs as you pass about climate change?
Yeah, don't eat meat, eat the bugs. What's wrong with you people? You don't care about the earth? Like, if you don't start caring about climate change, all those politicians with beachfront property are going to lose their houses.
Yes.
And they're very concerned about climate change, which is why they bought their houses on the beachfront, so they can be the first to let you know it's coming. The early warning system, right? They're very concerned. That's why they want to be right there on the beach. Quite honorable if you think about it.
Kind of on the front lines of the climate crisis.
Absolutely. Lead from the front.
So good.
But one more point about this. Sorry to go on and on.
No, I love it.
But when I say these things, people, you don't care about the environment. And I try and explain to them, I love nature. You love hunting, fishing, you love nature. I love nature.
Passionately.
The problem with all of these things is not that I don't like nature. The problem is that nearly any issue which appears to be virtuous on the planet today is Trojan horsed with garbage. That's the problem. I have no problem with fixing or maintaining or preserving nature. I have a problem with them telling me I have to maintain nature, them Trojan horsing my bankruptcy into the middle of it, knowing that nature won't be fixed, then telling me it's about nature and telling me I should agree with it. That's my problem. There's nothing left on the planet, no issue, which isn't Trojan horsed with absolute garbage. Yeah. And if you're going to sit there and tell me that I need to give more money to the government to stop the sun from being hot, I'm going to argue with you that I'd rather keep my money. Thank you very much.
Yes.
So this is the problem with all these issues. It's nearly anything. When I argue against them, people are like, you don't care about the issue. I do. But you're not smart enough to understand that the legislation around this issue is so large, it hasn't even been read by most of the people voting for it.
Yeah.
And there's something in the middle of it which is going to damage every single person's life, which has nothing at all to do with the issue itself. And most people don't understand that.
They co-opt people's best instincts, their love of nature, which is a virtue, of course, their love of their neighbors during COVID. Don't you care about your neighbors?
Oh, completely.
Of course you do. And your grandparents? I revere my grandparents.
Of course. And you're a bad person if you resist. I was a terrible person for going to Sweden. You're a very bad person. You don't care about anyone else. And that's how they do. It's weaponized virtue. And my opposers, every single virtuous thing that comes out of their mouth is never from a place of virtue. It's from a place of hate.
Yes.
It's weaponized. And also, and I don't talk about this very often, but people can go right now to tatepledge.com. I donate $25 million a year to feeding children in war-torn countries, especially in the Islamic world, because that's where a lot of the war is. Nobody ever mentions that, ever. Nobody mentions any of the charitable work